Welcome everyone to the
Welcome.
third episode of the Four Goobers podcast.
Yep, and as you may have noticed, our first episode only had 2 goobers. Our next episode had 3 goobers, and now count them, not 8.
Five Goobers.
Nope, Chris,
No,
Chris, you son
Four.
of a gun.
it's either
Four.
3 or
4
4.
goobers.
Yeah.
Five.
Um,
11 Goobers.
and it might be a little bit confusing for some of you viewers out there. You're like, well, if it's the 4 goobers, who is even the people who are the goobers anyway? But today we don't even have the full cast of goobers. Chris, which way is he on your screen?
This way.
I have to point down.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You're below me.
Hey,
Right there?
look, yeah. Look up.
You're above.
Hey, Chris.
This
I
guy.
mean,
No.
Hey.
Wait. No, I mean Chris. Like, where is he compared to me?
Oh, to the left.
This
To the right of
guy.
you.
This guy. I don't know.
This guy.
That guy.
This
That's
guy.
not the 4th goober, but today he
Dude, that's
is.
Jackson.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
literally
Jackson.
Hello,
Jackson is the 4th
Yep.
goober. This is
Jackson's
not
finally
Jackson.
joining us for an episode.
That's-
so-
guys.
Jackson could.
Guys,
What's up, guys? I'm Jackson.
Guys.
Finally make an episode.
Okay.
Jeez.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I was playing
Work.
a sport,
Yeah, I was playing a sport. All this
He's
stuff.
playing a
Yeah.
sport.
working out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing-
Yeah.
You want me to do some push-ups?
You do some push-ups. I mean, if you're comfortable doing some push-ups.
Let's see him. We
Yeah.
can't actually see you. How do we know you're doing it?
Yeah.
No, I can't
Push-ups.
assume. I can't
Hey,
see him
do
doing it. So
push-ups.
I can't assume.
Everyone.
5, 6.
Everyone.
Oh no! Crap.
You did push-ups.
You okay there, Jackson?
Jackson, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Thank
Just
you.
getting my reps in, guys.
Okay. I don't want to keep you from doing your reps, so I appreciate you.
I'm
All right.
good, guys.
All right,
I'm good.
So David, what album are we talking about today?
guys. First, all jokes aside, that's not Jackson. This
That
is
is
Ewan
Jackson.
Marshall,
I'm Jackson.
resident expert of the band that we're going to be
I thought
talking
you were
about
gonna say my
today.
address. So you're gonna say resident and say
Resident.
my address.
No,
No, he's not.
Yeah,
I
don't
said
do
I
that.
said my address on the first episode that actually got lost in the recording. But anyway, today the album that we're gonna be reviewing, which is one that I put forth, is "OK Computer" by Radiohead, which is why we've
The
got
Blue Album by
resident.
Weezer. No. Oh,
Nope,
No.
no.
Okay, no.
That's why we've got
That's a
our
different
resident
No.
our resident Radiohead expert here with us today, who actually introduced me to the band and facilitated my deep longing love for the band and for this album in particular. So anyway, thanks for being here, buddy. You
No
and Marshall,
problem.
everyone.
Thank you,
From Jackson.
Jackson.
All right. So do we want to talk about just initial thoughts about the album to begin with?
I'll
Does
say-
anyone have anything you want to say to begin
I'll
with?
say
First
one
thing I
thing.
noticed,
Oh,
I was just gonna say, like, the first thing is kind of obvious is that they're British, and that's kind of hard to deal with for a little bit.
Ugh.
But you get
Yeah.
used to
yeah,
it.
it's even more noticeable than the Dark Side of the Moon, which at
Mhm.
first it was hard to get used to, but as like you hear it more, like you start like getting used to British people, because I just
Mhm.
don't
Yeah.
like British people. I think we kind of agree that they're just the worst.
Yeah.
Same, yeah.
They're literally just I hate them.
Yeah. And that's understandable, and we got to accept, they may not come from our favorite place, they may not be our favorite type of people, but I mean, this album to me really is, to me and to many, is one of the best albums of all time, which I thought why it would be important for us to review today and discuss. So let's just jump right into it, right? The first track, Airbag. I have some thoughts on it, but if anybody wants to start us off with their initial thoughts of the first track, feel free.
I'll
Anybody
say,
wanna-
it kind of grew on me, because I've only listened to this album like all the way through like twice, because every single time I've listened to it has been like really late at night, and like by the sixth track I fell asleep, and then I wake up, and then I have no recollection of like the remaining second half of the album. So I've like listened to like the first 6 songs of the album like probably like 5 times now. So I'll say like the first couple of times I listened to Airbag and Paranoid Android, I didn't really like them. Oh, it's not like I didn't like them. It was like very different than the last album that we did, which is like I'll say like is like it's like less like it's like more rock. I feel like it's less like patient. Like Time has like the whole long intro, like 2 minutes, where there's like not a lot of instrument work. But like every single song on this album like was filled with that, so it's like hard getting used to. But like after like the third and fourth and fifth and sixth listens of those two songs, I really started like enjoying it and like all the like quirks that both of the songs have, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, and I know Chris and I have talked about this elsewhere, but yeah, Airbag was one that had to grow on me too, and I've talked to Ewan about this. But yeah, Airbag to me, when I was first introduced to a few songs off of this album, like Paranoid Android and Subterranean Homesick Alien and like No Surprises were the first ones that I really heard, and Karma
Yeah.
Police. Those are the first ones that I really heard on their own before I jumped into this album. And when I tried listening to this album for the first time all the way through, it was probably about a year ago or something. But you know, Airbag compared to those songs, just the feel and tone of it, especially as a starter song, really didn't click with me. But I will say, especially this time around listening to it, Airbag really grew on me, and I think it has a lot to offer, like thematically, and like I mean, to me, kind of sets a. It doesn't really set the tone for the album per se, but the general feel of it, I feel like complements the subsequent songs that will come after it. I think some really profound ideas in this song. It it kind of introduces like kind of an escapist kind of idea, which I think is more persistent in other songs. But I don't know. To me, normally when I think of Radiohead and Radiohead songs in general and the subject matter, it's kind of like it's a little bit cynical and pessimistic. But this song, unless like it's some kind of like sarcastic jab at these ideas, or if it's satire in any way, I feel like it's one of the more hopeful songs in terms of the lyrics, because it's talking about being reborn and some like into this incredible thing, like it says born again in an interstellar burst, and about finding purpose. I think like those ideas, when you put that in context of other Radiohead songs, and to me that's what I understood from it. But maybe our Radiohead expert here could prove me wrong, but I don't know. That's my interpretation of Airbag, and that's why I kind of grew to like it a little bit.
Luke, you want to hit on it first before I talk about the stuff I've read and all that?
On what? Which song?
Just
Airbag.
on Airbag before I get into it.
I thought it was a good introduction. It was just kind of like a intense. It like kind of it doesn't like ease you into it. It just kind of drops you in there with the whole electronic, new age sort of kind of music. That I mean, it wasn't like uncommon to see in the '90s, but it was definitely a new sort of style of sound. And I thought it was interesting, but it did have to grow on me a little bit, just because like I mean, obviously coming off of Pink Floyd, the whole chill thing like Chris was talking about. But
Yeah, I enjoyed like hearing the little beeps and boops in like in the different songs. Like I'm not joking. Like it sounded like sometimes it was like they like recorded audio from like a spaceship. Like especially in Subterranean Homesick Alien. Like it felt like I was like on a different planet when I was listening to that. It felt like something you would like they would play like in like a sci-fi movie, kind of like the Mort Garson Plantation thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got a really unique sound. From a narrative standpoint, Airbag also isn't one of my favorites on the album. It really takes some growing on. It seems a little redundant the first few times you hear it, but I think narratively it's really important for the course of this album, because if you look at it at one character that's had this revelation about society and is suddenly very no longer in the honeymoon phase with life. He's starting to see things differently. This is really what sets him down the course of not seeing things like he used to. He's born again. He's a new guy, and he's seeing all these flaws that he's seeing in modern society in the technical age. He's like I said, he's born again, but it also comes with some hubris, because he thinks he's immortal now, which is ironic because he almost died. But this whole being born again and being back to save the universe, he thinks this revelation he's had makes him God, and he thinks he's just here to walk the earth and be the Messiah essentially. But yeah, no, it's an interesting song. It actually inspired me to get in a car crash, which it sucked. I don't know what he was on about, but yeah, no.
Did an airbag save you?
What was
Did the
that?
airbag save your life?
Did an airbag save your life like him or no?
No, I drive a Model T. They didn't have those. Yeah, that's all
Interesting.
I got to say about it.
I think I like what you said about how um I think I like the perspective of looking at this as one central character, especially for like the first half of this album, because I think definitely the song that kind of jumped out at me that had more of the kind of like a person receives a revelation and like feels this responsibility to share it is in Subterranean Homesick Alien, where it's this idea of being abducted by a higher being and then being taught, I forget what it says. I think does it say the secrets of life or something in Subterranean Homesick Alien? But I think that idea in Airbag, having
They
this
showed
this
me the
like
stars and the meaning of life.
yeah, right, that one. But yeah, I like the parallel between that because I really didn't see that initially between the two. But I don't want to get to Subterranean Homesick Alien first. I want to talk a little bit about Paranoid Android because I know this is really a standout track on this album. I know
Very
I
long.
was yeah, it's very long, and I was talking to Luke, and he was telling me that he's heard it called Radiohead's Bohemian Rhapsody, and we were kind of talking about how we might not necessarily agree with that on on how that serves the album as a whole or that as a song. So let's talk about Paranoid Android.
I
Anybody have? Go ahead, Chris.
uh, I felt like it's like the whole song. There's like three distinct sections that all sound different. Like there's the beginning part is kind of chill, and then there's a part where it's like very like rock. Um, there's like a lot of rock in it, like especially that part where like that we were talking about it this morning, where like that there's like a guitar part where it's like it sounds like very unique. It's like it's the part that goes na 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 na. You can do it better than me. It's
That
like
part.
yeah. Well, do it again. You're muted. Yeah, that part, and then there's the other part where like it calms down a little bit, and then like flares up at the end, which I thought was like really cool because it makes like the song interesting to listen to. Where it's not constantly the same thing over and over. It like gives your ears like something different to listen to like every like couple of minutes. I thought that was pretty cool, and that's another
Yeah.
song that also grew on me because I really didn't like it. It's like seen like I've always heard that it's like a really good song, but I didn't really see the hype in it the first time I listened to it, but as I listened to it more, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. I understand why people like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I thought about it.
Yeah. And I think kind of I feel like comparing this song to something like Bohemian Rhapsody, I think the reason that people would do that is because they don't have like there's not a distinct chorus in Paranoid Android, although there are parts that repeat. There's no chorus and people immediately see that and say, "Oh, it's like Bohemian Rhapsody" because they think Queen was like the first to kind of pioneer that. But really, I think like structurally, this song, the feel and everything is more close to "Happiness Is a Warm Gun" by the Beatles, which I think Luke and I have talked about, and I know Ewan and I have talked about how that was an inspiration for Radiohead directly for this song. And I think I agree with Chris. It makes it really interesting to listen to, having the distinct sections that go in and out and really change the energy. And I think that's a compliment to this concept of a paranoid android who's just kind of like if you think about paranoia, it's like your mind is racing and you're panicking. I think this song captures that feeling sonically really well.
Yeah.
That's sort of the same thing with Exit Music. That's my favorite song off the album. It just has like a I don't know what it is about it, but the instrumental just has like it encapsulates anxiety. Like there's
Hmm.
no other way to describe it. It's just like it's meant to be like we need to escape and we're being trapped by this whatever mysterious antagonist system. But I don't know. I get that feeling from a lot of these songs, and I feel like they do that very well with the technological instrumental
Yeah.
like sound.
I'm very curious, like, of your guys' thoughts. Like, what do you guys think, like, this album is, like, really about? Because, like, David was saying that he thought it was about escapism, and I was, like, thinking it was, like, about consumerism. I feel like it could, like, be a mixture of both, but I
It's a
was
lot.
just, like,
There's a lot of
curious.
themes.
I thought consumerism was because, like, the whole, like, all of the ideas like about technology and how like it can be bad and how like like the title itself, okay computer, is kind of like how we say like
Yeah.
okay Alexa and stuff like that, how we're
Right.
letting like technology become like a more integral part of our lives. um but now that I think about it, I think it could be like um how consumerism can lead to escapism, like because like when you like consume like things like movies and stuff um on a very daily basis and like really frequently, that's just you escaping like your life, so I think like the themes of like escapism and consumerism are like really interconnected in this album, which I really
Mm-hmm.
like.
Yeah, Ewan could speak this as well, but I think to sum up those ideas, I feel like overall this album says I know it's gonna sound like I'm the Joker, but this album sums up a lot of ideas about
I
society
knew you were saying
and like thank you. And I think like it kind of it's like you're looking through a microscope, and I think it works really well if you look at it coming from like a single protagonist living in this society who's oppressed by all these different things. Such I think consumerism could be one of them, but I think technology is another big one. I think like societal rules and stuff. I think like that as like a overarching idea, and like a question of what we should do according to like societal norms and stuff. Songs like Fitter Happier and No Surprises capture, you can see a little bit of that in Exit Music as well. But I think overall yeah, I think like societal oppression and like what it means to live in such a place, I think is what this album captures to me.
It's interesting to me that you talk about escapism as a theme. I haven't ever thought about that because I've seen it as quite the opposite, like a departure from escapism. Like he was presumably
Everyone
before
froze
this
on my screen.
crash. I can still see people.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me at least?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right.
He's no longer escaping anything.
Yeah.
This album to me seems like a flash of lucidity, right? Like he's finally seeing what is going behind the scenes, or at least he thinks he can see it. He thinks he sees everything that's really going on, and he's not trying to escape it anymore. He's confronting it. But definitely the consumerism. I mean, I definitely see that. Huge part of it, the technological obsession. I mean, even with like airbag and things, right? Like this idea that we are not in control. There's some system, some higher power, whether that be cars or computers, whatever it is, that is controlling us. And I think he's kind of got this extended metaphor between some like dystopian AI type thing, the computer that's controlling everything, and just our society as a whole, just the technological age of man that we've fallen into, where we're just placid and we don't really care what's going on around us. I know Tom York, the lead singer, cares a lot about that. And things like Paranoid Android, I mean, that's about Tom's personal experiences. That song is inspired by a night he had out at a bar in LA, just surrounded by this mayhem and just feeling like everyone else was an android, like they're just going through the motions. And there's that hubris again, because of course he's not the android, because he can really see what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
Yeah, to me, I think this is a great segue into diving more into Subterranean Homesick Alien, because I think like this song to me really captures like a microcosm of the bigger idea that you think that you're saying the whole album possesses, which I totally agree on. And that's like the whole like waking up, realizing what society we live in and dealing with that hubris. And I think like this song like takes a very straightforward approach. It paints a picture of like of being like an android in life, just going through the motions. You know, you live in a town where you can't smell a thing. You watch your feet for cracks in the pavement. I think that line, you know, watching your feet for cracks in the pavement, just something you would do when you're bored, when there's nothing going on. I think like the contrast between that and finally like stopping looking at your feet and looking up and seeing aliens hover above you, like that's such a vivid picture that I love that it captures that. And of course there's the whole being abducted and being shown the world from a totally new perspective is just like that's such a cool idea, and I think that paints a really good picture of how it feels uh, to actually feel like you're having some kind of revelation about society. And I think it's striking that the first thing that the protagonist wants to do after being shown all these things is just go back home and show everyone what he's learned. And yet they don't believe him. Again, everyone around him is just like an android, going through the motions. They don't believe him, but it's okay because he does. And there's the hubris again. There's him being self-centered in that he knows everything about this, and no one else does. Also, the other thing about this song that I never noticed before listening to this album again, I think I guess you could call it a chorus or at least a refrain where it says they're all uptight, uptight, and it repeats again. It says they're all uptight. Well, the final time it does that, it says I'm just uptight, I'm just uptight. And to me, that's it's kind of like meta. That might be another realization that the protagonist is making where he realizes his hubris. He realizes that, he's kind of being selfish about this knowledge that he possesses now, and that maybe he's not a god like he sees himself. Maybe he's just uptight and he's pushing all these androids away. I think that's something cool about that song. That there's also like musically in that song, there's this cool thing in the end, and I'm gonna get a little bit into a little bit of music theory here, but there's this device that they use in the composition where the final three chords of the song, there's like a D minor, and then there's some kind of major chord after that, but then it transitions to a D major at the very end rather than reverting back to the D minor, which to me sonically sounds like you're coming to a realization and coming to an acceptance of something. Anyway, I thought that was a cool little device that they used there, but yeah, I think that's why I love this song so much. I think this song is my favorite one off the album. I love the way it sounds. I love the message that it drives home that kind of fits directly with it, kind of sums up everything that I'm thinking about this album narratively as well.
Well,
I like that you talk. Go ahead, man.
oh, sorry. I was just gonna say this is kind of unrelated, but it's like we were speaking of like the meaning of the album as a whole. So I was just thinking, like, in order to interpret that, the album starts and ends with the speeding in the car and the crash or whatever. So it starts with, I mean, obviously he crashes, say, by the airbag or whatever, and then at the end he's telling somebody else to slow down. So I
Mhm.
feel like um to interpret like what the album means, we have to understand what does the speeding represent? Like
Mhm.
what does that mean? Does that mean that you're just on autopilot like the people in Paranoid Android, just going about like a whatever, what does he say? Like Gucci Piggy or whatever, like just
Yeah.
doing yeah. Or does it mean that he's being too
Like,
lucid? He's being too conscious of
yeah,
himself, too
too
self-aware,
cocky.
and he needs to slow down. So
Mhm.
that's it's between those two, and I can't decide which one. And they're like opposite each other. So I don't know. I think it's kind of open to interpretation,
Yeah.
but yeah.
That's a really bloody good point. I'm sure we'll talk about it more when we get to the tourist. But you could interpret it as like being woken up from a nightmare, right? Like it's not the end of the world. Slow down. It's gonna be okay. Yeah, no, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't notice that until you
me
just
neither. That's a really good point because I didn't notice that either. But yeah, I'm sure we'll dive into it more. But I think as you're saying that, just off the top of my head, I feel like warning someone to slow down if you're comparing that to when he was in the car crash because he was probably going too fast. The airbag is what saved him and what subsequently gave him a new outlook on life and is what gave him this god complex. And then maybe at the end he's warning humanity like slow down so you're not cursed with the knowledge that I am or something like that. I think you could look at it that way.
Yeah.
it's kind of ironic that the thing that like catalyzed that self-realization was technology. If it wasn't for
Hmm.
technology that saved him, he wouldn't be able to like think that he's like God and stuff like that. So I think that's like kind of cool, like ironic that the thing that he despises is the thing that made him realize the stuff about his world. That was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
and something that, and I know I probably have I can see in the interpretation of Paranoid Android in a few different ways. I know like objectively, I know what Tom York was going for with the Paranoid Android and what that as a character represents. Represents all these people who are just kind of going through the motions. But I think something about Paranoid Android that I like that also captures that a feeling of Paranoid Android, a feeling of paranoia. Sorry, is the part where the song is picking up pace again and it feels really frantic and it's saying you don't remember like how could you remember my name or something like that. I think to me, if you're looking at that like resentfulness against someone who doesn't remember your name, if you look at that from the perspective of technology or from an android give it enough credit. And I think going back to that concept in Airbag, how technology is what saved him and is what made him into seeing himself as God. He doesn't give the credit to the technology. He takes it all for himself and puts all that on himself. And I think you could link those two ideas, unless I'm stretching too far. I know it might be a stretch, but
No, it definitely goes in the perspective of the technology every now and then. Mostly in Fitter Happier, which
Yeah.
we'll get to. Before we went to exit music, I wanted to talk about. I'm really glad you hit on like the moment of humility, of like self-realization that he has in Subterranean Homesick Alien, where he realizes that maybe he doesn't know everything. And there's a lot of these throughout this album where he has these just flashes of humility and even like shame sometimes. Like I'd say the slow act and Paranoid Android, the whole Rain Down part, is he's kind of realizing he's gone on this rampage. He's treating people as subhuman. He's treating them as robots. Like the whole "when I'm king, you'll be first against the wall." I think he has a moment of, oh, I went too far.
Yeah.
Same in Karma Police with the "I lost myself" part of the bridge, I guess. But Subterranean Homesick Alien throughout, I think he kind of realizes that he's in the same boat as everyone else because he wants to be omnipotent. That's like the aliens can see everything from on high. They know what's going on. And he envies them for it. Man. By the way, do we still have Chris? I can't see him.
Yeah, Chris is loading on my screen.
Oh, my camera just broken. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, are you guys ready for exit music?
Yeah.
All right. David, you want to intro us again?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I don't know, and I love exit music like as a song, and I love listening to it by itself. But to me, it was harder for me to like see what exit music was having to say in relation to the rest of it. I do want to say, however, like one interpretation I can give, and I'm pretty sure like the film that this was actually used for was Romeo and Juliet, correct? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
the Leonardo DiCaprio one.
Yeah, right.
Oh, really?
So yeah, for real.
Oh, I didn't know
that. But the one thing that like in this listen through that I did again, I noticed that like there's the part where he says it's like he's telling another person to be quiet or your father will hear us. I just like that when I registered that this is for Romeo and Juliet and I heard that line, I'm like, oh, like this is like a parallel to Romeo and Juliet itself in a way. But other than that, like to me, I struggled to like see the relationship, and like that's not a dig on the album. That's just my own misunderstanding of what's going on. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't made for the album.
Yeah.
It was made, like you said, for a film. And I think it does relate more to the film than it does the rest of the subject matter of the album.
Yep.
However, I think they managed to work it in. I think that's why they ended up putting it in the album. Is because these two kids, right? They're young. They're running away. They are breaking from their regimented society of their life. In this case, their parents. And it's really fundamental to the meaning of the album, apparently, because like there's a reference to it on the cover. I don't know if you guys have seen, like in the top right area of the blue and white cover of OK Computer, there's two little silhouettes that say "Lost Child," and I think that's a clear reference to this song. But no, I can see it as an allegory for what he's talking about for the breaking away of social norms for the rest of the album is just a personal version of it,
Yeah.
of the parents or the society, the kids,
Yeah.
or this awakening that he's having.
Yeah, and I will say something that I did write down, and I think I want to clarify like what I was talking about earlier about escapism. Like I know like escapism might not be the right word. More so, the concept of escaping from something is what I was trying to get at, and I like what you just said is exactly what I wrote down about how in this sense they're escaping from the confines of like parental norms and like what your parents want for you, which is just like kind of like I mean like if society if like society and technology are like our parents and our controllers in the grand scheme of things, like when you zoom into that, your parents are what control you in your youth, and I think you could definitely make parallels between those two, and I definitely saw that in Exit Music.
Well, what I think for Exit Music, I think everything that y'all said is true, but I also think it sort of acknowledges the irony of being an album that's like against the system or whatever, but also having a song that's made for a film that's like apart what or whatever, like because it does say like sing us a song to keep us warm. There's such a chill, and I guess I mean this might be a stretch, but you could like draw a similarity of the chill to like I don't know, whatever existentialism, like whatever anything negative, this song is supposed to distract you from it. So it's almost like acknowledging the fact that it's doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know
No,
how else to
yeah, I
describe it.
I I kind of had I had similar thoughts. I didn't like really think of it that hard because, like you said, there's a lot to like wrap your head around. But I thought of that too. I've questioned why they would put for a film in parentheses. I always thought maybe it just kind of it is kind of like inherently funny in a way that they would put for a film in parentheses. And name the song "Exit Music" because that's exactly what it is. They don't name it any title that relates to the lyrics or anything. But I do see the kind of like ironic how there's a song about waking up and like finding your way and seeing like the confines of the society around you, and then like you slap the fact that this song was made for something commercial.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I definitely see the irony there, and I think that there's some merit in that.
Especially given how much they care about titles as Radiohead. Like they were really torn for a long time for Subterranean Homesick Alien. Uh, Johnny Greenwood, their guitarist, really wanted to call it Uptight, and Tom York really wanted to call it Subterranean Homesick Alien. So they really worry about what the titles say about these songs. But to just call it Exit Music, right? That's like calling it movie song.
Yeah.
It's so nondescript. It tells you so little about the meaning that it almost feels like it's supposed to be the odd one out.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, Chris is here. Man, my bad.
Yeah, I don't know why my webcam isn't working. Every time I try to turn it on, it lags the whole thing. So I'm just gonna just keep it off for now. But I can still see you guys, so it's okay.
All
Do you
right.
have any
Well,
thoughts, Chris?
Huh?
Do you have any thoughts on this song?
I think that this song as a whole.
Chris,
Can you guys hear me?
I
yeah.
hear you.
Oh,
everybody froze for me.
I thought this song as a whole, like as you were saying before, Luke, it like perfectly encapsulates the feeling of like anxiety and whatnot. And also I think it has like one of the best build-ups I've ever heard. Um, and
Oh yeah.
Tom York's vocal performance in this song in particular, I thought like was really amazing. So this is one of my more favorite songs on the album.
Yeah. Man, the end really shreds. I mean, you come in thinking it's just gonna be slow throughout,
Yeah, and then
and then
it
like
just hits
yeah,
you with
and then like a snare starts tapping halfway
Yeah.
through it's such a chill. You go, okay. Yeah, I love that part.
yeah, and it like hits you with the curveball, and it's like
Yeah.
it turns out to be like one of the most like hardcore songs of the album. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just I mean like just talking about that aspect in general, that's one of my favorite about Radiohead as a group, and I've talked to Ewan about this as well. But I love how Radiohead, in essence, can combine two or three or four songs into one thing and have seamless transitions that kind of like disorient you, but it's so exciting to listen to because you know it's not going to be the same thing throughout. But at the same time, like it's disorienting to me because I can't remember, like if I've got a Radiohead song stuck in my head, I can't remember if that's part of another song that I know or if it's a totally separate thing. That's part of why it's so cool though. I love that effect of totally changing the sound and having a steady build up to something new. I just think that's so cool.
That's
Yeah.
kind of opposite to like the last album we heard, where like the whole album was just like one long song. Where it feels like
Mhm.
with this
Yeah.
album, it's like each song is very distinct from the last one, which I think is a pretty cool departure from what we've heard before.
Yeah.
Oh, and you just reminded me. Thank you. I wanted to talk about that when we were back on Paranoid Android. Um, I think the reason Paranoid Android is so important in this album is because it almost just combines what the entire rest of the album is into a single song. Because it has all this variation, all these very tonally different parts uh, that all carry the same theme, like to a really heightened degree that the rest of the album does. But it has the slow parts that you don't expect, and it almost mirrors the makeup of the album and how it just keeps changing. And I think that's the reason why people call it the Bohemian Rhapsody of Radiohead. Not so much because it doesn't have a distinct chorus, because it keeps switching up on you, and you don't know where it's going next because it doesn't keep repeating, except for the reprise of the riff at the end. But yeah,
All right, next is Fitter Happier on the track list.
next
And
is Letdown.
Yeah. What?
oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
I was like,
Whoa,
did we
sorry.
skip two?
Wait.
Did we skip
Whoa,
two?
whoa, whoa. Sorry. Whoa, holy crap. Sorry, I was looking at the track list and I was like, what the heck? Oh yeah, Letdown. Okay, Letdown's next. Sorry guys. Oh my gosh, I'm a terrible host.
You're the worst podcaster,
You're
man.
the worst. You're the.
That was a
fake
Joe Rogan
Radiohead-
moment.
Fake Radiohead fan.
Hey Jamie, can you pull it up, Jamie?
I'll pull it up.
That was a Joe Mint.
That was a.
It really was a Joe moment.
That
Yeah,
was a Joe Rogan moment.
yeah.
My uncle, if my monkey uncle Jeremy watches this podcast, he's not gonna like that you just did that, dude.
Your
I
monkey
think
uncle,
Uncle Bob's gonna like
monkey
it.
uncle Jeremy and your uncle Bob are not gonna like this.
Yeah, dude, they're gonna switch it off like this. You can't see me right now, but I'm snapping. I'm snapping my.
I can just
can
see
hear it.
Patrick Bateman. Yeah.
So,
Anyway.
yeah, I feel like
Who invited Patrick Bateman, by the way? He's been looking at me for like 15 minutes.
I
He
don't
doesn't
know.
blink,
Who
man.
Who
is
did
that?
that?
He's a friend of my monkey uncle Jeremy, so
Oh,
he can
Yeah, that figures. That
Yeah.
figures.
All right. Sorry. Next is Letdown. Okay.
That's what you are, David. Actually, that's pretty funny because you just let us all down.
You let us
Yeah.
down
Sorry,
with not
guys.
knowing what the freaking order of the album was.
Was that on purpose, David? Be
David,
honest
you're
with
Yeah.
such a sly guy. You're such a sly
That was
guy,
on-
David.
See, you guys, I'm like the oppressive society.
It's
Fitter
like-
Happier.
Do a little
This
bit of
next.
trolling. Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
I thought Letdown kind of or like the end of exit music for a film like ends like very chill with like the choke part, and this one feels like also like it continues that mood a little bit where it's like kind of downtrodden, which is kind of like which is kind of appropriate considering the title of this song, Letdown, which is just has a negative connotation to it.
Yeah. I think for sure the purpose that this song serves is just like a reiteration of like being disappointed in the society that you've like discovered, that you've looked through a different lens. I think like just the language like the emptiest of feelings, disappointed people clinging onto bottles, just like utterly hopeless. And yet the song, like if this song didn't have any words, it sounds like to me it sounds more hopeful than not. Like sonically it doesn't sound like it's gonna like it has anything profound to say, but when you listen to the words, it has a lot to say about the ideas of this album.
Oh yeah. And it's another one of those mood swings, right? Because it goes from massive egotism in the first half to really like just pounding himself because he feels worthless. It really shows just how unstable this guy is.
I thought interesting lyric was one that was like, one day I'm gonna grow wings, a chemical reaction. That, like, I don't know, that just like intrigues me. Is he like implying that he's like gonna grow wings, but not like through like the traditional sense, like in like fiction where you just like grow wings, like it's gonna happen like through some type of like technology, like some in some like type of technology, like, I don't know. It feels like it's like he's gonna grow wings like unnaturally. Because if you think like growing wings through a chemical reaction, that's very unnatural. That's something that you see in like a sci-fi movie, not like how like you normally, or like people can't grow wings in real life, obviously, but like in media, when someone grows wings, it's like they like gain them like through like in like some sort of like holy way.
Spontaneous.
Yeah, like spontaneous and holy way.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
why it
wings is
says like
like
on the next
angel.
line, it says hysterical and useless. Like he's saying he's gonna grow wings, but he won't be able to use them. Like everybody's just gonna laugh
Mhm.
at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the way I saw it. He's got this whole thing about being crushed like a bug, right? This whole thing is an analogy for him being a bug. Shell smashed, juices flowing, wings twitch, legs are going. It's like a beetle.
Mm-hmm.
And when like a caterpillar goes through, what was that, David?
I
I
saw
get
David,
it.
that.
David
Uh,
heard the word
I got
beetle.
I
he
got
heard the
those
word
guys in
beetle and
the
he
back of my
pogged a little bit. Yeah. But a chemical reaction does occur when like you turn into a butterfly, right? Or well, I say you. Most of you aren't caterpillars. Um, but he's
David.
he's talking about being this worthless bug, right? So growing wings in that sense, but also he's someday hoping for a better life, right? He wants to at least cling on to the idea that maybe he can go to heaven after this awful life in which he's been worthless. Um, but that's all I can get from that.
Yeah, now that you say now that you explain like that, now I'm looking through the lyrics again, and I totally see that.
Yeah.
It's like from like the perspective of bug, like everything like seems like magnified, especially like the juices flowing. Like I'm just imagining like being a bug right now and like seeing like someone like dropping water and like it being like really big. So that I think that's a really cool analysis they just did. I don't know if
Have
I'm the
Mhm.
y'all
only one.
noticed?
I don't know if I'm the only one who just imagined myself as a bug, but
I
hopefully
didn't know
some
that.
other people did that too.
That's
David,
weird.
I know
Mhm.
you're.
Or someone did, man.
That's
Tom
real
York
weird.
did. You and Tom York are of kindred spirit, I guess.
Yeah, weirdos. Anyway, I was gonna say,
I'm
I don't know
a
if you guys.
creep. Get
That
it, guys?
literally.
Radiohead reference.
Yeah.
I'm a. Sorry. Go ahead, Luke.
I was
All
just gonna
you.
say, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but most of these songs start. He starts degrading other people and talking about how other people suck or whatever. They're all useless robots, whatever. But then that's when right after that, he usually starts realizing how much his life sucks. So it's
It's kind of
almost
like the
like,
Joe Rogan experience.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like a joke, a jomit, a complete
Sorry, Uncle
jomit.
Bob.
man.
He's like uh criticizing all these other people, and what he gives is what he gets right back to him. And maybe that's what he's trying to say at the end, like slow down, don't be so judgmental. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever. But
yeah. I think you kind of summed it up there. Like the whole feel of this album is like what I imagine like a stereotypical like pessimist nihilist
In British
thinks
person.
British people think
British.
every day, because like it's exactly like that. You first you don't look at the big picture. First you see the kick and squealing Gucci little piggies around you. You see the paranoid androids, and you're in utter disgust. Like you hate people, and then like that's when you kind of like your scope gets a little bigger because you've realized something's wrong, and then you see okay, what's causing that, the societal issues around us, like that's making people like this. And then finally, when you've seen all that, only after all that is when he finally turns around and sees, holy crap, like this is me. People don't suck, I suck. Like it's like a hatred for humanity almost. It's really sad when
Mm-hmm.
you think about it, but I think like those are the ideas that sums this album up, and
Yeah.
why it's so interesting to look into.
This is
Yeah.
kind of off topic, but I forgot to say this. I was gonna make a joke. I think it was in Paranoid Android, no, Subterranean Homesick Alien, where he says the people that lyric that's like the people who drill holes in themselves. I could say that he's looking. That remind me of like getting braces, and he wouldn't like that because he's British. But now after the
Can we
fact,
clap that up?
it doesn't seem that.
That's
Funny.
awesome.
Thank you. Well,
That's
Do you
awesome.
think this is how
Thanks,
all
Patrick.
British people think? Like every single British person
yeah,
just.
every single British person
Yeah.
imagines themselves as a bug.
Does fun
every
exist
single
over
day.
there or no?
This is just a day in Brighton, really. This is
Yeah.
just
This is like the
going to work.
average day in Birmingham.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't get who hurt British
Birmingham.
people so bad. Like they lost the war, they can get over it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have any sort of
They
fun
have,
over there.
I mean, they have biscuits, I guess. They have
Yeah.
biscuits. They have football.
It's
They
not the same
have,
type of biscuits though. It's just like
They have
gross.
they have EB games where you can get FIFA for like 60 quid.
So yeah, for a certain amount of quid, you can
Yeah.
purchase FIFA. But
You got FIFA.
Just move to America.
Yeah.
Like just come over
that's,
here.
That's the
Like
solution.
we could fit all of them in Wyoming, you know? Like there's
Yeah.
we literally have like
15 of
4
them.
Midwest states that they could go in.
maybe North Dakota. I would
Yeah.
rather-
Yeah, get them
put
as
them up
far
there.
away.
Yeah,
from
as far away
Alabama.
from us as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let
Put
the
them up in North
Californians
Dakota.
deal with them. I think they would get along. That's what I think.
Probably there's sunshine over there at least.
Yeah.
Oh, what's sunshine? All we see is in England is slugs.
Was that a British accent? What was that?
Okay, I have a better British accent, but I can't do it on camera.
I think Britain only has clouds like all the time.
Mhm.
I every
There's
no
every
sunshine.
single thing
The
time I
sun-
see it, it's like if it's like I'm looking at like a Fallout game. It's like it's ridiculous. I'm like watching I'm like looking at.
And he has the
gameplay of
audacity
soccer.
to make fun of LA.
Imagine this is Britain, right? This is what the sun does. And instead of the sun like going over Britain, the sun goes like millions of miles away
Yeah.
while it has to go there and then
And
comes
it goes to
back.
Italy.
That's why
Yeah.
winter happens.
Wow.
You notice there hasn't been any of these sort of albums from Italians.
Oh,
Exactly.
for real.
Dude,
There
I
has-
know.
I don't think they make
swear.
music.
They make pasta music. I think.
They do
There
make
has-
pasta music.
Mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma
We gotta
mia.
stop. We gotta stop this.
Sorry.
Look,
hey guys, let's talk
the
about
British
Karma
are
Police.
okay, but
Let's talk about Karma Police.
yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Okay, this is the last British joke, but literally the third lyric in this song is he talks in maths.
Oh my gosh.
That's true.
You did not have to bring that up.
At least we didn't get shot up in maths class. At least we don't got planes going through our buildings. At least I don't got a bloody bullet.
Hey,
going through my bloody...
let's talk about Karma Police, huh?
Move on,
You know, this
Chris.
song was
They're
originally
all
called
angry.
Karma Coppers. Karma
For real?
Culpas, I mean.
Are
Yeah.
you kidding?
Yeah. No, I'm serious. Karma Culpas. That's what they called it.
Oh man. Okay.
Coma
Let's
bubbles.
okay. So I was talking to Ewan earlier about Karma Police, and I feel like I'm a little stupid little idiot because Karma Police is like one of my favorite tracks off of this album, but like, it's like, I think the closest thing that I could relate anything to is the refrain where it says, "This is what you get when you mess with us." Like that, I could tie that into something, but the rest of it is so cryptid. I freaking love the language in here. I love like the language of buzzes like a fridge, detune radio, stuff like that. Like Karma Police, all that is just so good, but I can't make a coherent thought out of what all this could mean. So maybe you guys could help me out with that.
You guys want to go first? I'm set in my ways about what it
Like,
means.
I have like some inklings of what it means. Like maybe like the line.
Those are the guys from Splatoon, right?
Yeah, they're in my head. They're in my head right now. Like the lyric that's like, "Arrest this girl. Her hairdo is making me feel ill." Maybe that's trying to say like things that like we should like maybe like lock things up that offend us, or like we should like punish people who offend us even if they're not trying to. Because I don't think anyone is trying to have a Hitler hairdo. I mean, I sure don't wake up in the morning and like say, "Let me get my Hitler hairdo on."
It's interesting that we're talking about this song. My brother got a haircut recently, and people at school are telling him that he looks like that. Anyway, that's off topic, but
I don't think he
that's
looks
so true. I didn't notice that until you said, yeah. I'm calling that next time.
anyway.
So that's what I think.
I think it's just sort of like, I mean, they've already touched on the subject of just you get what you give. Whether it's like you give depression, you get depression. You know what I'm saying? You give existentialism, you get it. But it's just sort of like taking it in a different direction. Like I don't even know. It's like sort of warped though. Like for having a certain hairdo, you get something bad. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how to describe it. It's like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
shift.
I think hearing what you guys are saying about it, I can kind of form some ideas about it because I think like the concept of karma. I feel like culturally, karma is something that like I feel like Western culture is kind of like taken and skewed because like for the life of me, I probably couldn't tell you what karma actually is supposed to meant from its original culture. But like we've twisted it in such a way that it means very simplistically like you get what you give is like exactly what you're saying. And I think maybe this concept of karma, from this like nihilistic, pessimistic character, it's just his natural thought of things. Like he hates people, and he wants the people who do him wrong to get what they deserve. And I think that simplistic idea is kind of powerful when you look at this album as a whole, because it just kind of sums up how this person views the world and how he thinks other people should be treated based on his negative experiences.
Yeah. This is, I mean, this is the character at the depths of his hypocrisy. Really, he's seeing the worst in everyone. This is just like when you're having a bad day and everyone annoys you for some reason. Like man, the whole buzzes like a fridge. He sounds like a detuned radio.
It's just like
That could just
it's just like annoyances,
yeah,
like
it's just like
everyday
a guy with a
annoyances.
nasal voice. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it pisses him off. Or like this
hmm
girl's hairdo, right? It sets him off.
hmm
Um, and he's saying, as I believe I am the ultimate moral judgment in these matters, I'm the karma police. Uh, and if it were up to me, when I'm king, you'll be first against the wall. When
Yeah.
it's up to me, you're gonna get what you deserve. But like we touched on a little before, he kind of comes back and he goes, what was that? I lost myself.
hmm
I don't know what I was doing there. I feel terrible about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I totally forgot about. I know we mentioned it earlier, but in talking about this, I totally forgot about that bridge, which to me, I think the "I Lost Myself" is my favorite part of that song. I love
yeah,
like the sound of the shift and everything. But yeah, I think you make a really good point there. How it just going back to this idea of this guy, he keeps like snapping into this like hateful,
Person.
like this hateful person, and then he'll snap back.
To
And for a
reality.
minute there, yep, for a
Snap
minute
back.
there, I
Yeah.
lost myself. Yeah,
exactly.
I think that yeah, that's so powerful. Now that you say that, I think I can appreciate this more now that I can see it in context of the rest of the album.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. I mean, this probably like Tom missed the lorry and had to nab a yellow cab for like 18 quid to get to work,
Oh,
to like chop salmon heads off all day at the factory or something. So,
the
uh,
bloody worst, if you ask me. I
yeah.
mean,
It's bloody worse than
So,
having like a freaking fly go into your teeth and then going to the bubbly wubblies and then like it not being there. I'm like, hello.
like
Why when I go to the Gaza Strip, I always get run down by the TSO. Can I say one thing? I always get checked by the TSA. I
yeah.
mean, why? I mean, I feel the same way Tom does in this album. So
yeah,
that's why I relate to this album so much, and I love it so
Chris,
deeply.
I feel like you just revolve towards like I know we all don't like British people, but you really don't like them. Like every
You really
single
don't. Yeah.
It's so
yeah.
funny because I love soccer and that's like one of the like main things they do in England, but I
Yeah.
just can't stand the
I think that's all
people.
they do.
I mean, I just can't
that's
stand them.
only fun that they have.
It's like
Where'd the Gaza Strip come in? Like that's
I don't
Hey
Israel,
know.
not
I
Ewan,
England.
hey
Like,
Ewan,
what that.
Ewan, don't
yeah.
ask. Hey, let's
About
talk
what?
about Fitter Happier. It's time to talk about
Okay.
Fitter Happier.
Yeah, we got to start
Um,
moving a little quicker though,
Uh,
because we are about at the hour mark.
yeah, let's
So
let's move
54
quicker.
minutes
yeah.
being
Fitter
capped.
Happier.
54.
Okay. This is the one I have the most to say about. I'm gonna let you go first, and then I'm gonna speed run it. I'm gonna sound like Eminem, and it's gonna be like Rap God. So you guys go, and then
All right.
I'll spit bars.
So, Fitter Happier. At first, I think at first I viewed this song as kind of like, oh, this is the art piece. This is the really artsy song that they're gonna throw into the album. Which, like, back in the day when I first listened to this about a year ago, when Ewan kindly introduced me to it, I like that's kind of all I saw it as. But at the same time, I had this kind of like hipster. Oh, like for a minute I lost myself and I had this kind of hipster mentality, like, oh, this is a cool song they have in an album because it's very avant-garde and robot voice and okay computer, I get it. But I couldn't fully appreciate it for what it was really saying. And I think I mean, this song you can give a lot of credit to summing up the ideas we've been talking about and solidifying the idea of technology and society telling you what to do. And I think the striking thing about this, if you just look at the lyrics, it sounds like if you just read it out as if it's a poem, it sounds very robotic. It doesn't sound like a human is speaking. It's just kind of stream of consciousness. But these are ideas that are present in our human society that, the government or propaganda or, it kind of evokes a feeling of like, the good old like 50s America. Like these are the things you should do and the things you should keep up with and what matters in society.
Mm-hmm.
But then you throw on that robot voice and you keep in mind like this is not how humans think. This
Mm-hmm.
is very much just straightforward idea after idea after idea. Um and something's very eerie about it. Like it's genuinely creepy to listen to,
Mm-hmm.
which I think uh it just it takes an idea and like brings it up to 11 because of all these aspects coming together in this song right smack dab in the middle of the album. I think that's actually a really good way to do it. But that's what I think about Fitter Happier.
It kind of reminds me of uh the subliminal messages in Brave New World that they would repeat in people's
Mhm.
sleep, because like they would repeat like stuff that they would want reinforced in the society in that book. And it's kind of like the same thing here. Like these are all things that like I'm assuming like in the context of like this story, like the that they would want people to do, like driving good and not crying in public and stuff like that. So that's what this song really reminded me like heavily, like Brave New World and that and those messages that they was it called sleep teaching? What was it called? Then
Uh yeah, sleep teaching I think is what they call it in the book.
that's what this song really reminded me of.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think I made that parallel a little while ago when we read Brave New World, but I didn't think about it this time. I think that's a really good parallel to make. And also little thing I want to mention, uh, I think, and I can talk more about this in No Surprises as well. But I think the kind of cool thing about this album is that this song is that the idea is that it's kind of repeating just one after another. Um, some of these ideas actually don't sound bad. Like keep in contact. I'm reading it right now. Like keep in contact with old friends, enjoy a drink now and then, but and it has these things that like on the surface, not in context, are positive. Like yeah, sure, like people should do this, but then you 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 combine that with other things like commands that a society is giving you, not like a person, but like an inhuman
Yeah.
thing is giving you commands. How much should you trust that, even if it is in the end for your own well-being? I think Brave New World, stuff like that, and dystopian novels like 1984. You know, the society in essence is happy in a way, especially in Brave New World. They're happy, they're content with their lives, but are they fulfilled
Yeah.
in like basic human things? And I think uh, this song, the robot voice is trying to deprive humanity of what makes it
Yeah.
humanity,
Yeah. They like freedom.
for the greater good. Yeah.
Did I go
Luke,
now?
you got thoughts, Luke?
On Fitter Happier?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's just sort of like the same sort of thing they've been touching on, where it's like these people get trapped in a loop, and it might seem like they're doing something healthy, but really they're just losing self awareness day by day, and that's like I don't know. It's sort of like a good thing and a bad thing because
Mhm.
you're blissfully ignorant,
Mhm.
And there's a lot in this song. Like it's
Mhm.
just yeah. I don't know. That's all I have.
Yeah. There is a lot to talk about in this one. This one is chock full of meaning, but I'm not going to talk about all of it. But like, I mean, first of all, this is the computer talking, right? Like the rest of the songs are this deluded character.
Mm-hmm.
This is the computer. This is what is pulling the strings here. Um, one of the things I think is really interesting is that it contradicts the singer most of the time. Like, this is talking about the opposite ideals that our main disillusioned guy has. A patient, better driver. This guy got in a car crash. That directly, contradicts Airbag. No paranoia. Song 2,
Mm-hmm.
Paranoid Android. That's the opposite of this guy.
Yeah.
Still cries at a good film. It feels like it's directly referencing the stuff that this guy does and saying, that's not what we want here.
Mm-hmm.
And also just how formulaic this life is, Even if a lot of this is good advice, it's so formulaic at the end of the day. Like, it even like spells out the day of the week. You should like take a car wash and stuff. Even the pleasure activities are like charted out, which is why the last few lines, a pig in a cage on antibiotics. Maybe that pig will live a long life and never die and not be exposed to hazards. They're not living a life. This isn't a human life. This is the robot. This is the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I got here. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox for long.
No, yeah, I think that sums it up. I totally forgot about the part.
Yeah, the pig part.
Is that at the very end?
Yeah,
Does it
yeah.
say
Okay.
a pig in a cage?
Yeah.
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 I remember the first time hearing
Yeah, I didn't
this.
really understand that part.
I
But not,
I
yeah.
it kind of startled me because like I feel like the music kind of cuts out a little bit before he finishes saying antibiotics, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And like I remember that being such a eerie, weirdly foreboding statement to make at the end of all this, where I could make sense of what it was saying, very formulaic, and then a pig in a cage on antibiotics, like calling out exactly what we are, exactly what we're intended to be, and it's really sad and kind of scary
Yeah.
that it says it at the end.
Yeah. And one more
Yeah.
thing about this song, if you haven't before, I recommend listening to the instrumental version. It's called, I think it's called "A Piano Lies Down in the Middle of the Road." And hearing that by itself really gave me a deeper appreciation of the song. Like, I could hear beyond the text-to-speech voice in "Fitter Happier" once I had heard the instrumentals by
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
All right,
All
shall
right.
we move on, pick up the pace a little?
Let's move
All
right
right.
along to electioneering.
I think this is like the most overtly, because every single song before, it was subtly referencing things and themes and messages, but this one is like really like on the nose. It tells you what the song is about, which is kind of like a shift from the rest of the album. That's one of the main things I picked up from it. I like this song. Also, I like this song like sonically. I thought it was like pretty cool to listen to. It's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, to me, I and like, there's not a song on this album that I dislike in any way, but electioneering just is one that doesn't really hit hard for me. I think because it's so on the nose. It's called electioneering. It's this whole album is about the oppression of society and how we're controlled by means other than our own. I thought it's a little too on the nose for me, and really to me, I don't like listening to all that much. I kind of feel the urge to skip it when I'm listening to the album. But those are my thoughts.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you want to go ahead, Luke?
No,
Okay.
I didn't really.
I'm not a big fan of electioneering either. In terms of just the song itself, I like it until you get to the chorus. The "you go forward, I go backward" part just kind of bores me. I also think it sticks out. It's kind of a green thumb in this album, even more so than exit music to me. Because when I really think about it and shoot down to the bone of these things, this is the only big picture song. This is a political song. The rest of them are very social, very, this is my little circle of experiences that I've had with other people. This one is like, a bigger scale because it is inherently a political song rather than a social song. It just didn't, it's fine. I think the album would be just as complete without it.
Yeah.
But it's a little detour.
And that's what I was gonna say is that just like, I mean, you're making an album about society and oppression or whatever, so I feel like you need to shoehorn politics in somehow. I feel like they needed to do that. Talking about voodoo economics, Reagan, whatever, like just my turn, your turn, you go forward, I go backwards, like all that, just the back and forth of the political system is just like, I feel like they need to bring that up, but I feel like they could have done it better and maybe like just melded it in with the other songs and not made it
in,
its
in,
own
in a more
like
subtle way, like how they
yeah.
convey the other messages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will say, like, just like I don't mind getting political. I think in like you said, an album like this, it's necessary that they do if they want to talk about society as a whole and like what are the issues politically in there. And I think they tried to accomplish that with this. But I will say like this song to me, it's less like every song talks about part of an issue, and every time it's talking about like it's sad that these things are happening, but electioneering to me just kind of sounds like kind of complaining and doesn't hit as hard because it's less like this is sad for society and more so that this is just a straightforward political issue. And maybe it's because we hear so much of that all the time. Politics like in general is just like gets old and feels like it's just a lot of people complaining, and maybe that's why I have this certain feeling about this song, regardless of what it says about society, just the overt political nature of it, and like the I don't know, it makes me feel like it's just complaining in the end, but maybe that's just me because I'm
Yeah.
tired of politics. But
And I think it also. Sorry, go ahead, Chris. So I mean Patrick.
hmm hmm
And I also think this song adds a third character, if you will, to the story. And I don't like that. I like that it was a dichotomy between character that is, victim of the society and is kind of deluded, and the one deluding him, the technology. This one adds the politician, for lack of a better word, is trying to manipulate the voter base as well. So you can see him as like an agent of the societal computer.
hmm
But it just makes it less interesting when
yeah,
it was this dialogue, but now it's this guy talking to the voter base, I guess. Uh, I don't like that. The one thing I do like about the song, though, is that he says, "You go forwards, I go backwards.
hmm
Somewhere we'll meet." Uh, forwards, you go backwards, which suggests that this voter base he's trying to manipulate is already way ahead of him, and
hmm
for him to go forward and them to have to go backwards to meet in the middle, like that kind of just shows the
yeah.
bankruptcy of his morality.
Yeah, and
But yeah,
I think like like politically speaking and societally speaking, I think that I will say is something that I haven't like, thought of before, but I think that's an interesting idea about how oppressors and governments and whatnot, whatever you want to call it, will always like if they want to reach a happy medium for society, they're like the people in power aren't gonna push themselves down to make it equal. They're gonna bring others down, if anything, if they're gonna make it equal. So I think yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point that you make there.
All right.
All right.
We ready for climbing up the walls?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
This one's just paranoia, right? This one's just
Yeah.
the definition of the personification, I should say, of paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say climbing up the walls again isn't really one of my favorites either. I think it's one of the more forgettable tracks. I'll say just between Fitter Happier and No Surprises, I feel like those songs are kind of misses for me. At
What?
least at the very
No
least.
surprises a miss?
No. I'm saying in between No Surprises and those. I love No
Oh,
Surprises.
oh.
You and knows that I love No Surprises.
Yeah.
But I'm saying those two songs, Electioneering and Climbing Up the Walls, I feel like don't quite hit as hard, and I get the urge to skip them when I'm listening to them. But I just think they're a little bit weaker.
I think they like accomplish what they're intended for, though, is that they're pretty much just transition or interlude tracks that kind of I don't know, you see them across the album. Like there's narrative driven tracks and then there's subject driven tracks, and they're kind of intertwined with each other. So this
hmm
is more of a subject driven one with the whole idea of paranoia, but then you have ones like like No Surprises or whatever, that have a lot more narrative in them. And I feel like you can't just go a whole album just straight narratives. You have to like cut it up a little bit and make sure it's like evenly distributed so that the listen is
Yeah, and
not, I don't know, overloaded.
yeah,
But I don't know.
yeah, I will say it would feel really weird going from Fitter Happier to No Surprises without anything in between. And like, if this is what serves that function, then so be it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, this song is really just like, you know, when you're on Twitter and there's like a Minecraft YouTuber profile picture, and they're like, "I'm a neurodivergent minor," and someone says, "I'm living in your walls." That's all. That's all. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about, or I'm gonna
No,
sound
sound
yeah,
insane.
We get it. We get it.
But that's all this is.
isn't
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
isn't there like a lyric that's like I'm climbing your walls or something? I'm climbing up your walls or something in this song.
Well, yeah. It's, I don't know if you noticed, but it's the title. But yeah, the chorus, "climbing up the walls," is just like
I think I
showing
can see
how
it.
Oh
it's
yeah.
discomfort, right? Like, it's showing how uncomfortable the situation is. Um, yeah, that's all I got here.
Should we move on? No
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
Let's
surprises.
move
move
on.
on to No Surprises.
This is
Yeah,
okay.
Um.
This is my favorite song of the whole album. This is the like
yeah.
song that I listened to before like listening to the rest of the album because I thought it was like say it's like
Oh yeah.
it achieves like the feeling of like melancholy because like the way it sounds it's like kind of like positive but like the lyrics are like so downtrodden and
Mhm.
it just like makes you feel like empty. Every time I listen to it, it's like I feel empty. It's
Oh
like
yeah. No.
that's what I
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah. For the longest time until more recently, this was my absolute favorite song off of this album. It's been replaced by Subterranean Homesick Alien now, but this has got to be my second because it's so sad and it feels like such a well-deserved break to go from anger and hatred that we kind of see throughout and to just get to something entirely sad and vulnerable. Like if this is coming from the perspective of the main character that we've been kind of following, then just like it feels like a relief of sorts that he's kind of letting go of his anger and just kind of like looking at it from like a fully just depressive state, which in itself is like that's sad and depressing, but it in a way it feels relieving to not be stressed out. It's like it's accepting your sadness and accepting your surroundings for the like it, I feel like this transition it's like you're either angry at society and wasting all your energy or you're just going to give like this song captures like it captures giving up because it questions what it means to live in this society and whether you should like bring down the government because they don't speak for us and that stuff, questioning those like action filled ideas, but then at the end it kind of goes in the other direction and it's like this person is just so tired they want to just accept the society. And I think like at first I misunderstood this song and thought maybe there was like a sense of hope at the end, when it says no alarms and no surprises, such a pretty house, such a pretty garden, no alarms and no surprises. It sounds like a happy ending,
Hmm.
but but really it's just this person has given up and is becoming complicit in what society has given him and told him this is what makes you happy. Having a good house and a good job and a
Mm-hmm.
pretty garden, that's what's going to make you happy. And he says, okay. And it reminds me a lot of the end of 1984, where the main character, Winston, succumbs to the government and he declares that he's happy because of Big Brother when really he's not. He's just been tortured. He's been brainwashed to think that he's happy, but he is. He's not complaining anymore, and that's so sad. But at the same time, it captures the feeling of being relieved to not
Yeah.
have to deal with everything else. And I think the song just does that so beautifully where you're conflicted yourself when you listen to it.
And I found it to be like very similar to, like, we talked about Eclipse last podcast off Dark Side of the Moon, where it's just like it's negative, but it's also positive because you're learning to just accept just
Mm-hmm.
that like the negative is a part of life and you just have to like you can't fight against it. So it's like all that you touch, all that you see, doesn't matter because the sun is eclipsed by the moon. It's like the same
Mhm.
sort of thing where the sun is sort of like a metaphor for like
things you can't control.
Yeah, exactly. Just life, bad things in life, and it's just like once you accept it, it's kind of freeing, but it's a little bit depressing. And I feel like that's the same sort of energy that's captured in both songs.
Hmm.
Yeah, and from like
Uh,
from the, oh sorry.
no, you're good.
Oh,
Go ahead.
from the context of like this being from the character we've been following throughout the album, it's like him just like finally like just giving up. Like there's no like, because like all the other songs, there's like a shift where he hated society, and then he self realized that he was like being kind of like very critical. But in this song, there's none of that. It's just him just saying that he's giving up, and it kind of feels like a suicide type of thing, because he's like
Hmm.
It's
carbon monoxide,
Yeah.
and how like from like the the end of this album where it's like this person like going very fast on a car and someone telling them to slow down. It kind of feels like the album's like slowly transitioning into this person that we've been following, just losing hope in society as a whole, and just like, just succumbing to it, and like not being able to deal with it, and just like ending it all. So I think that's what this is, like a perfect transitionary um, song into that idea, and plus it sounds really awesome. So
yeah. Uh, I think part of the widespread appeal for No Surprises is that it's not like a niche song like some of these are. You don't have to have these like you don't have to have this anger, resentment, or mood swings that the character does sometimes. Everyone can appreciate just being downtrodden by
Hmm.
like your day job, whatever it is, a job that slowly kills you. Everyone has that, whether it be school or, an actual job or whatever it is. A lot of people can understand that. And just feeling apathetic and just unable to change anything. And I also, like David said, used to think that the Pretty House and Pretty Garden was him deciding not, to end his life. Now I'm more thinking that that's him killing himself.
Hmm.
I'm thinking he kills himself. He's in his dying moments, and he's finally finding peace. Uh, he can appreciate a little bit of beauty
Hmm.
because he no longer has to worry about,
mm-hmm.
the things that were keeping him down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really heart wrenching song and a really good one.
Hmm.
I thought
We'll move on.
I thought if like from the maybe like he's starting like maybe in this song he hasn't like fully killed himself, because I have like a theory that in the last song is like when he truly like just ends it all by like getting in a car crash. That's what I think. But I think this like starts as like his mindset that he just can't win, he can't be God, he can't be omnipresent, so he just give up. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I'm conflicted on this too because I think I've had like a journey over how I've interpreted this song in particular. But I think because for a long time I thought like surely, like Ewan said, the handshake with carbon monoxide and him kind of just accepting it all in the end, like how could this not be where he kills himself? But at the same time, in order to like make sense in the concept of the like the in the album,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe he doesn't hear. Maybe this is just like his Hamlet moment where he's considering life and death and what it means to die and to live, and like
Mm-hmm.
what, like, should he do it or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of don't want to make a decision on what I think about
Mm-hmm.
that because I think it works so well either way.
Mm-hmm.
If you think he's going to continue his life and that's how we finish the album, or if he kills himself right here, I think it works either way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we ready for Lucky?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I guess I'll start. So Lucky was another song. I don't know, for the longest time, I think maybe after my first listen to this album, I didn't really listen to any of the songs again much after that, for the time being. But like for some reason I thought No Surprises was the end because it makes a lot of sense as a song that would be at the end of the album, but I totally forgot about Lucky and the Tourist. Um of course, like that was a long time ago, but now listening to Lucky and the Tourist again, I kind of had the same kind of feeling like, oh, I don't remember liking these and the concept of the album because it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me after No Surprises, but I kind of had a change of heart this time around, especially with Lucky. um, I think Lucky works so well as a song on its own. I think it's such a good song. I love the pull me out of the air crash, pull me out of the lake. I absolutely love that part because it harkens back to the whole airbag moment at the beginning. And this one, although, is another one that I have trouble piecing together in the whole grand scheme of things, chronologically, because he could have killed himself in the last song. So is this the same person or not? Because he says, because I'm your superhero. We're standing on the edge. That hubris coming back. That whole thing of this god complex. Like he's here to save the world. And I wonder if the whole pull me out of the air crash is like maybe there are things that are happening to him, things that are going wrong in his whole plan to save the universe, and he's pleading for people to pull him out so that he can do it again and again and again. But in the end, I mean, like, I think it sums it up pretty good. In the end, we're just standing on the edge. And I think, like, the song itself, how it ends with, because we're standing on the edge, and it ends with that chord that you really want it to resolve to something else, but it just leaves it hanging. And I think that's kind of how this song kind of feels like it's like sticking out. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think that's a good thing in this case. And it kind of leaves you wondering what happens in this little part of the story here. But anyway, maybe you guys can have some idea.
We said, like, it's better to listen to like Dark Side of the Moon in one listen because it's like all one large, like one continuous song. It's kind of like the same thing with this album, but like for a different reason, because like it's like one huge story, and like listening to each song gives you like a little fraction of that whole story, and listening to it like in sections or like out of order, kind of like it doesn't make real like that much sense. But like listening into it continuously one after the other, it like makes the song like it like increases and like bolsters like the quality of like the song.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much to say about this one. This one kind of confuses me still. I mean, it doesn't feel like it shouldn't be in the album. I just don't know why it feels like it should be there.
Yeah.
Definitely, you're onto something with the whole, he needs another chance at this. He's the superhero. They're standing on the edge, like this is the precipice of, this is a turning point. We have to do something here. And he's hoping his luck will change, right? Like, he's not been having good luck. No surprises. He almost killed himself. All these previous songs, he's not been doing well at this whole saving the universe thing. Now, his luck will change. But there's definitely some irony there with the pull me out of the air crash, pull me out of the lake, because I'm the superhero. Like, I need saving. Yeah.
I think what you were saying there just kind of like made me think of something. Perhaps, like, whether he actually killed himself or
perhaps. Shut up, bro. Perhaps. That's a British word.
Mayhaps.
That is,
I was about to say mayhaps.
That's one
Perchance.
strike. That's one
Maybe.
One strike.
David,
One
against
Okay,
strikes and
sorry
you
guys,
get
sorry
sent to
guys.
Brazil.
What do I need to say? Maybe, is that what I need to say
Yeah.
instead?
Yeah,
Okay,
come on.
maybe.
And drink a Coca-Cola, for God's sake.
Maybe, maybe, whether he actually killed himself in No Surprises or had a very near brush with death, Lucky is him realizing once again he's mortal and he can die, and he needs someone to pull him out of the air crash, And I think that could work whether you interpret No Surprises as being his death or not, because we can see this guy can, whether physically or mentally or spiritually, can be reborn in some way, as we saw at the very beginning. So maybe Lucky is his other chance to come back after he's like pleading, like, please, like, let me keep trying at this. Because, and what you said about him, this song is kind of him acknowledging, I'm not doing well at this whole saving the universe thing. It's ironic that he says, I'm on a roll this time. He says this time as if he's doing this over and over again, but really he's not. We've seen he's not happy. He's not making anybody else happy. He hasn't convinced anyone of his own convictions or anything, as we saw in Subterranean Homesick Alien. And at this point, he's just like, he needs help. He needs help from other people to help him accomplish his goal that he's not really doing so well at, despite how much he wants to convince people of that.
feel like he's
Well,
also lost all of his inhibition in this one, which is
Mhm.
something like people do, like when they're like driving a car while they're drunk, they just like lose all their inhibition, kind of like they feel like they can do anything, when in reality
Yeah.
they can't.
yeah.
No, like that fits. Is that like is that why like one of the alternate covers of this album is like has like a car in it? Like there's like multiple like
Well,
alternate like album covers of this one, and there's like one where like there's like a car.
Well, it's
I don't
also
know if you
probably
know.
because the first song, Airbag,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
car.
No,
Yeah.
And
I
even I
There's a whole
think
car.
the
There's a
blue
whole car
shape.
to
Go ahead.
yeah, I've always seen that as a road.
Yeah, it's
The
a highway, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a diverging highway,
hmm
Hmm.
which is all you
Yeah.
could also interpret like him going in a different path than everyone else.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to
All
go to
right.
the
Well,
last one?
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
We already kind of touched on it a little bit, but
Yeah.
just
I
sort
have
of
a
like
theory about this one.
I just think it perfectly like puts a like ribbon on the album, you know, just like tying it back to the first song where he
Mhm.
realizes like, or he was going too fast and he crashed, but then he thinks he's God because he survived, and he's realizing his mistake, and he's telling another implied whatever person to slow down because he doesn't want them to make the same mistake that he did. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think you could think of it as, he's trying to warn someone else, but also, and I know Ewan said he doesn't want more characters, but if you can look at this, well, actually, it could work either way. Sorry, I'm like just now forming my thoughts about this just because I have a better look on the album as we've been talking about it. But I think he could be telling himself to slow down, like don't get in that car crash, like don't let that airbag save you, or else you're gonna turn into this you know guy who thinks he's God, this maniac who's just kind of going crazy and thinks he's got all the answers, but really he's having trouble with all of this himself. He hates what's going on. He hates the people who he's the savior of, which is just so ironic. It could be, this album has come full circle. This guy is at this point is fully self-aware and wants to warn himself from ever doing it again. Because if we talk about, if we um go back to what the previous one, to Lucky, he says, pull me out of the air crash. He says, I'm on a roll again, as if this is just like a never ending thing. I think if that's the case, you could look at this album as a never ending loop. He's warning himself, don't go too fast, and then immediately you go back into airbag, and the process just repeats itself. This whole time he's been going back and dealing with his own hubris, and then what he thinks he's been put on this earth to do, and his relationship with people and how he sees humanity. He struggles with all of that, but now it's come full circle and he's like, okay, I've messed up. I can see myself now. I don't want this to happen again, but it's inevitable that it will because of his own hubris. Because we go back into airbag if you want to look at it in that way. But that's what I see from The Tourist.
I like how this ending song is open to like different interpretations, because I had like a totally different interpretation of this the final song. I kind of
Mhm.
saw it as like as you said before. I know you said you didn't like it having more characters, but maybe it's like this is like song is from the point of view. Now this is gonna sound crazy. This is gonna really crazy, but maybe this is the point of view of an alien, because it's called The Tourist, and if you think about it, the whole song kind of like it doesn't like it kind of like a watcher, like a bystander's watching someone get into a car crash, and how he's like, don't do that, and we've already seen like in this world there are aliens, like in Subterranean Homesick Alien, where he got like and there's like aliens and stuff, where I thought maybe it could be like from the point of view of like an alien seeing him, maybe from the first one, or like not from the first song, but like seeing him get finally like end his life and like get into like a car crash. That's what I thought about it.
Well, now that you've mentioned that, I have a whole new idea, which I have a feeling that Ewan is gonna actually discuss this because I feel like he has some insight on this. But I don't know. I'm just guessing. But I have another idea now. But someone else can talk about this.
Well, I want to hear your idea now. Now I'm curious.
Yeah,
Well,
you've piqued my interest.
well, after what Chris just said, maybe I had to stop myself from saying perhaps. Maybe.
You said it. That's strike two.
Two
Maybe.
strikes.
Maybe.
Strikes. Yeah.
How many strikes do I get? 3?
3.
It's American
No.
baseball, David.
Yeah.
American baseball.
It's
Not cricket.
Did you just
not
ask how many
soccer.
strikes?
It's okay.
Sorry. All
There
right.
might be
Sounds
4
very
strikes over
English.
where you come from, but in
Yeah.
America it's
Anyway.
3.
Over the pond.
Maybe this is from the perspective of the android, or the not the android,
The
but
computer.
the technology, the force that's controlling all this, the oppressor. Maybe it's coming from there, and it's trying to get in contact with this guy. You know, maybe it's the same voice from Fit or Happier, that same perspective, telling him to slow down. Because doesn't it say in Fit or Happier, don't drive too fast or something like that?
Yeah.
A more patient, careful driver.
Yeah. Maybe that it's reiterating that, warning this guy, hey, don't do it, because they know that, you know, this guy, despite his flaws, despite his conflicts, that's what poses a threat to the society. That's like the guy who's diverging off the other path. You know, every single dystopian novel has this one diverging character, and the government or the oppressor is trying so hard to suppress that and not let him figure out what's going on. So that they want to prevent more people from, you know, being saved in a car crash, you know, and discovering all these things about the society they live in, and trying to save it in that way. But I don't know. That's another way to look at it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't have a twist interpretation for this one. Call me an optimist, but I think this is him coming down from the crisis he's been having. I really think that's what it is. I don't think it's a car crash, like David's going to get into on May 4th, 2024, 4:43 p.m.
What's that?
What?
What was that?
I was just talking about The Tourist by Radiohead.
Oh,
Yeah, we're talking
okay.
about we're talking about an album, David.
You guys talking
Yeah,
about?
come
Yeah,
on,
Max,
man.
sorry. You guys
Tune back in.
You guys supposed to
Uh,
cut out or something, because I think I missed something there.
That was
thought you-
probably it.
Yeah, every day it comes closer, David.
Yeah.
Was that Luke?
Your day of reckoning will come.
Every day it gets closer.
You call me Dave?
But yeah,
Who's
Yeah.
Dave
I
Reckoning?
don't know. It's
Yeah,
definitely
Gibby, you will
Go
be
ahead.
done.
Who's talking? Car crash?
No,
What?
yeah, something about I don't know,
something
something
about
weird.
like
I think
I don't know.
something's wrong with my headphones, guys.
I don't know,
You-
David.
You must be
David made it
schizophrenic or
weird.
something. We're not understanding.
David kind of made it a little weird, yeah.
Yeah,
was
but we
A
can
little British of you, man. That's like strike 2.5. But yeah, no, I see the car crash imagery, but I think he's being warned out of it. I think he's seeing that he's speeding, and he's checking himself. Because it says, sometimes I get overcharged. That's when you see like metal on metal collision. But I think he's catching himself. He's having a I lost myself moment. He's having a karma police moment. And he's saying, slow down.
Yeah.
The name tourist comes from, in, I think, Paris, some like American tourists that they saw trying to hit like 10 locations in a day, trying to do everything at once because, they have to be in another country the next day. And they were like, slow down. But I think it's an optimistic note for them to end on. And it was something they kind of threw together. This was like the last day of recording. And the guitarist, Johnny Greenwood, really drove this one home. This was kind of his pet project. And I think it's what the album needed. Because without it, the album is apocalyptic.
Mm-hmm.
With it, it's cautionary, but it's not fatalistic.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah, I like that interpretation too. I think I really like the fact that we've all had vastly different ideas and we could like mold them together in a way. But no, I really like that interpretation too, because at heart I'm an optimist too, and I like to see the good outcomes and things. But I don't know. I've kind of been I've been trying too hard to put myself in the mindset of this super pessimistic, nihilistic kind of guy.
British person too. So.
British person.
British
Yeah.
person.
Kind
I
of
know it's
strike
been
three,
rubbing off on me.
Kind of strike
But
three, but I'll let you slide.
let us slide.
But yeah, I might be thinking of it in very, very depressing terms, too much so. But yeah, I like that idea as well.
So do we want to give our
Top five.
our
No,
rankings?
let's do our top 4. I feel like we should do that real quick.
Top 4
Okay.
song?
Yeah, top 4 songs.
Oh my gosh, put me on the spot.
I feel like
Mine's like really like.
Let's do
I know.
top 3. That's what we did
All
last
right,
time.
top
let's do
3.
top three.
That
The
works.
top
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
Who wants to start?
Gosh.
Well, David's
Um,
been starting the whole time. We can do David, Chris, Luke, myself.
Yeah.
Jackson.
Yeah. Let's see. Uh, okay. So obviously, I've already said it before, and I don't want to diverge in the middle of this whole thing, but I genuinely think "Subterranean Homesick Alien," uh, by itself, I think is my favorite track, and I feel like when you're looking at an album as a whole, it's hard to pick your favorite song in terms of which one serves the album the best. I think "Subterranean Homesick Alien" could serve that role, but as a song by itself, I find myself listening to it all the time. I love how it sounds. I love that. I just love the imagery of like you're so bored with your everyday life that the only thing that could take you out of it is being abducted by aliens, because like that's such a fantastical and crazy experience to have. I love the way that they portray that. I love the way it sounds and how they make everything sound like it's alien and not of this planet. I think it's just awesome sonically. And number 2 for me has got to be No Surprises, like I said earlier. That's the song that I really fell in love with this album to begin with, so it's got a special place in my heart. And I just love the change of pace it gives the album. It's really depressing and sad, yet has this very melancholic kind of feel to it. Because it's a song about reflection. You're like considering all your options. I like the way that it makes you think about all that. And third, I don't know. I kind of want to give it to Paranoid Android, simply because I think like it's such a good song. It's so masterfully done. Um, I don't know. It's probably Paranoid Android, but there are so many on this album that I think could take its place there at number 3. But I'll have to give it to Paranoid Android because I think it's so well done the way that it shifts and all the different parts of the song and all that. And uh, yeah.
I would say definitely my number one song is No Surprises. It's the song that got me into the album, the song that like made me want to listen to this whole thing. So that's like very concrete. And number 2 is Subterranean Homesick Alien, which is a song I didn't really think I would like, but it's like one of my most played off the album. And 3 is it's like a split between Paranoid Android and Exit Music for a Film, because like they're both good in different ways. Like in Paranoid Android, like the different um, detours that the song goes in sonically is just like really refreshing to listen to. But like the build up for Exit Music for a Film is just so good. It's like hard to like freaking choose between both of them. So I think that I'd probably, because exit music for film uh short. I think it's shorter. Yeah, it's shorter than Paranoid Android. I would say that my number 3 spot would be exit music for a film, but it just depends on the day, honestly. So those are my top 3.
I don't know. I have a very hard time picking songs of an album to like make my favorite. I can tell you which ones I find most significant to the album, which are um No Surprises is number 1, Paranoid Android, and then Exit Music. But my favorite just to listen to, just like because I like I don't know, if I had to pick some like just to in solidarity, Exit Music would be number 1, and then probably No Surprises, and then shoot, I don't know, probably Android. Yeah.
Yeah, good choices. My number 1, No Surprises, which isn't really surprising.
No
I get.
surprises there.
Oh,
No
that's a good
surprises
joke.
there.
You could have made a really good
Oh
joke.
my gosh, I just peed a little bit. No, but like, it's just
Yo.
perfect. It's a pretty perfect song, and when you come into it, it already feels familiar for some reason. I vividly remember hearing this for the first time and feeling like I'd heard it before. I think
Yeah.
part of that is it's kind of reminiscent of "My Way" by Frank Sinatra when it opens, but man, I don't know. I just can't say enough good things about No Surprises. Number two, I got to give it to Paranoid Android. That was kind of the song that I got into Radiohead with. And it's like three different songs, and I like all three of them. So that's kind of hard to beat. And I just think the writing is superb. And I got to be loyal to the one that got me into it. The third one I also struggle with. I think that the end of Exit Music is really hard to beat. That's a really cool sound. Um, I like Karma Police a lot too. I know it's kind of cliche. I know that was one of the singles that everyone's heard, but I really like just the beginning clashing with the I Lost Myself part. But at the end of the day, I think I'd have to give it to Exit Music just because of how it sounds.
Yeah.
Which I feel kind of bad about saying because I care so much about what the words mean and crap. But I really like Exit Music. Yep. So that's my three.
So
Nice.
what would you guys
Alright.
rate this album? Let's get into our like. I know it's like kind of like.
It's
kind of.
should we?
Should we give our ratings?
I think we gave it for the last one, so I think it would
Yeah.
be appropriate.
Let's
for this.
do
Yeah,
it.
but I don't know.
Okay,
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I don't know. I don't know. It's always hard for me to call something a perfect album, but if we're gonna look at a 10 out of 10, I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect album, I think, but like just the quality, like the narrative and musical quality of it all, I'd give it a high 9 or a 10. I don't know. It's that good. I genuinely think, this is one of the best albums ever for a reason. I've had such a good time listening to it and interpreting it. And after all, this is like what got me into Radiohead. So yeah, I give it a 9 or a 10.
Because we were talking about last week how we like value different things, and I'm more of a fan of like electronic type of music, ambient type of music, and this album definitely had some of those elements in it. Like one of my favorite artists of all time is Aphex Twin, and I saw some of like not influenced by it. I heard some similarities between this and some of his other work. So for that, I would probably give it probably like a 9.5. Because there's not, it's not perfect in my opinion. There's like some lulls in it that like there's some lulls like electioneering and like the songs between Fitter Happier and No Surprises that could, I don't know, like it's not a perfect album, but it's still a very 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 good album, and I would listen to this again, and I have listened to this multiple times, so that's why I would give it a 9.5.
Can you hear me? Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like I haven't given enough room to grow on me, and I feel like this discussion will definitely increase my rating. But I feel like it does lull at some points, and I do lose interest sometimes. Just I don't know. Like sometimes it's just not clear what he's saying, and that frustrates me. Like I like to have
Yeah.
to like interpret meaning. I like to be able to just understand everything they're saying, and I know it's intentional, but it kind of takes me out of it. But I
Yeah.
feel like it will improve after. Like I will re-listen to it after this. But I have it as an 8 right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, I just to speak on like not being able to understand the lyrics. Like when Ewan was first getting me into Radiohead, really all I could say about what I liked about it was the sound. Like I loved the sound; it was so fresh and new to me. But for the life of me, I could not understand Tom York's freaking British accent. Like it genuinely annoyed me at first. But especially after listening to this album again and like paying attention and reading the lyrics, um, like I can understand him better now. Like I can understand what he's saying better,
Same.
and it made me appreciate these songs so much more that I could understand what they were saying and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, that's definitely something you got to get past. Is like his voice can be kind of jarring when you first get into it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna pontificate. Like 9.5 out of 10. The lyrics are great. Sound is great. And it got me into one of my favorite bands of all time now. So yeah, I love it. I think it's fitting that it's a song about like a sick little weird freak, and Tom York being
Exactly that.
from the Isle. Yeah, if you know what I mean. If you catch my
Yeah.
meaning, kind of perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that was a really good discussion. This episode has now I think it's like 1 hour and 44 minutes, which is like
Wow.
30 minutes longer than the last discussion, which is kind of fitting because this had more like lyrics.
It's a
each
longer
song.
album.
Yeah, longer
Mhm.
album, more lyrics.
More people too
more,
on the
more
podcast.
things to
Yeah.
dissect from it. So it's kind of fitting that it was very long.
Yeah.
Well, this is awesome. Thank you, Ewan, for coming. You added.
Thanks for having me.
You had a bunch of meaningful things, and you added a bunch of the discussion. So thank you for that. And
Thanks very much.
we're having Sam Eagle from the Muppets on the next
Yep,
episode.
next episode.
Sam Eagle.
From the
Sam
Muppets.
Eagle.
Coming.
Just kidding.
Watch
We're
out.
doing- I
And
don't-
my Uncle
are
Bob.
we doing this? Are we doing a root beer taste test
The
next?
the plan right now is to do a root beer taste test for the next episode.
What's our next album?
It's my album, I think.
Oh yeah, it's Chris's turn.
And
Chris,
then
what's your next album?
It's Fleet Fox's self-titled album. It's really short. I think it's like 35 minutes. So it should be a shorter episode, but it's one of my favorites. So
Yeah.
it's either that or the root beer thing. We'll decide. But
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.
All
Thank you.
right.
Bye. See you guys.